right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and happy Wednesday, everybody. Today's October 25th, 2023, and something is up in European FinTech. It started yesterday with a company I'd never heard of, a company called Cab Payments, which is actually the most recent IPO on the London Stock Exchange. Cab Payments reported that they were going to not see the growth that they were expecting. The stock was down yesterday 75% in one day. The stock dropped 3/4 of its value on a reduction in their earnings forecast. So what the heck was going on over at Cab Payments? Well, they're citing a lot of the collapse of the Nigerian Naira, which is the currency in the African country. It's been in decline. It's lost almost 90% of its value since June. And I guess Cab Payments, they do a lot of their business in Africa. And so the currency headwinds, the Forex market, okay, I guess that makes a little bit of sense, but 75% collapse in the stock? Wow. That is right up until this morning when we got the same story out of a company called Worldline, another fintech payments provider out of Europe. Worldline announced something similar, that they were going to see their earnings forecast drop. Worldline stock is down 59% as of a couple of minutes ago this morning. So we got one fintech unicorn, the darling of the recent IPO market, down 75%. Another one down 59%. Now it's spreading. We've got companies like other European fintechs like Adyen and Nexi. They're down high single-digit percentages this morning. Even U.S.-based fintech, darlings like Affirm, like PayPal. What's the other one? Block, a.k.a. Square. They're all down this morning. Something's up in fintech, and it's dragging the whole market lower. Now, the Worldline report this morning, that had a little bit more information other than, hey, the Naira is hurting us. They did mention the Naira in the Worldline report, but they also mentioned a couple of other things. They mentioned a general slowdown in Germany. Okay, a slowdown in Germany, I can see that. The energy situation in Europe slipped into a recession recently, but not so big, not 55, 75% reductions in the stock value. But they're also mentioning, Worldline said that they stopped doing business with certain merchants, and that the changing regulatory environment and the shifting landscape, there were phrases like cybercrime and fraud were thrown around. Now, I'm going to speculate a little bit here, but I suspect that there is something that they're not telling us within these articles about these collapses in European fintechs. And again, this is me speculating. I want to emphasize that. But what changed in the last month or so that might suddenly cause a collapse in fintech payments that do business in Africa? Do you think that might have something to do with the financing of organized crime or money laundering, or even the T word, terrorism, possibly? Again, I just want to emphasize that's me speculating, but these stocks are getting absolutely crushed. And the fact that these two companies are both reporting it within close proximity to each other, this is not macroeconomic headwinds suddenly coming to the forefront. To me, this is companies that are doing business with people. Maybe they didn't know what they were doing, but they knew these guys were shady and that there was something up with their business practices, but they were making money, so they looked the other way. And then they saw the body count in the Middle East starting to pile up, and now all of a sudden everybody's being more careful who they're doing business with. Again, that just want to emphasize that is me speculating. Or it could just be the collapse of the Naira has really taken down all of these companies. Another story that we've got recently, Hurricane Otis. This one came out of nowhere also this morning. Hurricane Otis 24 hours ago was a tropical storm. It just made landfall in Acapulco, Mexico as a Category 5 hurricane. This thing strengthened from a tropical storm to a Cat 5 in a day. The city was caught totally off guard. The storm it just made landfall about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago as a Cat 5. So people haven't even stuck their heads out yet to see what was going on. I suspect within the next few hours, we're going to hear about the city of Acapulco just being absolutely demolished by this storm. It came out of nowhere, so people were not prepared. People weren't seeking shelter. They were just expecting a tropical storm. And I think you're probably going to see a lot of reports of the touristy areas and the resorts getting hammered. But you have to realize in that area, once you get outside the resorts, You're talking a lot of shoddy construction, a lot of poor, very poorly sheltered people. It's probably going to be a humanitarian nightmare in southern Mexico after this hurricane rolls through. And it's still a Cat 4. I mean, it's made landfall a few hours ago. It's starting to weaken now, but this storm just blew up out of nowhere. Almost a Hurricane Katrina kind of vibe to it as far as how quickly and unexpectedly it strengthened. Now, it didn't hit a major city like New Orleans that was below sea level, so maybe it won't be as bad, but we still don't know yet. The storm is still going on. Also, we've got Alphabet and Microsoft just reported earnings after the bell. Both companies reported beats on the top and bottom line, but both stocks are doing opposite things this morning. We've got Microsoft is doing great because they showed some tremendous growth in their cloud computing, their Azure business segment. That is where most of their AI work lives. And Microsoft is actually starting to show some actual top-line revenue growth driven by AI. Google parent Alphabet is not. Alphabet actually missed their cloud computing numbers, and within cloud computing, that's where their AI business segment lives. So really what it comes down to is AI. The market is telling these big tech firms, okay, we have paid top dollar for your stock all year long, ever since ChatGPT came out. And oh yeah, and everybody says AI and the stock goes up. Now the market is saying put up or shut up. Market is saying we want to see revenue coming in from these AI projects. Microsoft delivered, their stock is being rewarded. Google did not, their stock is getting punished. And last but not least, Meta, who reports earnings after the bell today, aka Facebook. I hate these rebrands. They're just terrible. It's just Meta, it's just an awful name. I think they were kind of planning on the metaverse becoming a thing. How's that working out for you, Zuck? Meta is being sued by the attorneys general of 42 different states. That story just broke yesterday. 42 states. Guys, there's only 50 of them. So 42 states are suing Meta for the damage that it does to people, for the addictive nature of its algorithm, and the fact that Meta knew the damage it was doing, notably to young girls, and that they hid it anyway. And so the attorney generals are circling overhead like crazy. When 42 different states sue you on the same day, it's probably going to affect your business one way or another. Meta reports after the bell today. We'll see what they have to say about that whole fiasco. And with that, let's shrink my big melon of a head and get through some of these stories this morning, shall we, guys? And while we're doing that, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new here. We do this every morning. The CNN Fear Greed Index is at 32 this morning, deep in fear territory where it's been for a couple of weeks. The S&P 500 is down 16 points ahead of the opening bell, or 0.38%. We have got, let's take a look at the S&P real quick. This is the S&P going back to about, what are we looking at, February of this year. I just want to zoom in a little bit and note the recent technical behavior, guys. We came down, we bounced off the 200-day moving average in early October. We came up, we flirted with the 50-day moving average. We rejected that. We came down, we failed below the 200-day moving average, and then yesterday we reclaimed it, and now today we don't know. But right now, I would say the S&P 500 looks like it is in the process of a technical breakdown, sharply lower. We'll see what it does. Does it bounce off the 200-day moving average and move back up to retest the 50? But this is a textbook market rollover going on right now, guys. Looking over at the NASDAQ, it is down 91 points ahead of the opening bell, or 0.6% lower. Now, you got Microsoft and you have got Google. They're pretty much offsetting each other. One down big, one up big. But I also suspect that the FinTech names, even US FinTech, is being driven down by this European story. So that's probably taking tech lower this morning. And the Dow is the lone green in a sea of red this morning. The Dow is up 66 points, or 0.2% higher this morning ahead of the opening bell. Looking over at the commodities board, we got December gold futures are up about $1.30 this morning, 1,987 for December gold futures. December silver futures down 17 cents at 22.94. That's 0.75% lower. We have got platinum and palladium are both up 1% and change this morning, and West Texas Intermediate is down 2 cents, pretty much unchanged, 83.72. Crude has taken kind of a beating over these last few days. I don't know if it's maybe optimism or about the situation in the Middle East. Maybe optimism is the wrong word, or just the fact that everybody expected things to be much worse by now and they're not. although they're not exactly better either. They just haven't become absolutely catastrophic. And so oil has retreated a little bit as worries about demand destruction have crept back into the dialogue, less so about supply disruption. Again, that could change on a dime. Looking over at the U.S. dollar, we've got the Dixie is up 14 basis points this morning, 106.41 for the U.S. dollar. And looking over at the bond market, we have got yields are moving higher now. They were mixed earlier this morning, but the long end is rising again. The 30-year Treasury is up almost 6 basis points, yielding 5.02%. We got the 10-year yielding 4.879. That's up almost 4 basis points. And the 2-year is up just under 1 basis point, 5.079, with the 1-month yielding 5.399. That's down just a little bit. Now let's talk about what's going on in Europe, guys, because this one really caught me off guard. I hadn't heard about this one yesterday until the second one came in. Shares in one of London's biggest IPOs this year have crashed 82%. Now, that 82% number, we're talking about CAB Payments here, ticker CAB. This one is down 82% from its IPO price, 75% decline yesterday alone. That's a big drop. 3 months ago, CAB Payments stumbled when it went public on the London Stock Exchange, its shares falling nearly 10% on their first trading day on a market that has been starved recently of new listings. That mood went from bad to worse on Tuesday, however, when the fintech firm's shares crashed nearly 74% after it issued a stark warning on revenues. The stock has now lost 82% of its value since listing. The company, which provides foreign currency and cross-border payment services for businesses, sold shares worth nearly $371 million to investors back in July. This thing IPO'd just a few months ago, guys, making it London's second biggest IPO of the year, according to data provided by Dealogic. In a statement on Tuesday, CAB Payments said that it expects revenue this year would likely come in 17% below its previous guidance, but still 20% up on 2022. The firm attributed the weaker forecast to changes in market conditions. It's kind of vague wording in some of its key markets, including the Nigerian Naira, Central African franc, and the West African franc. So it looks like foreign exchange rates, the collapse of the Naira is what's killing CAB here. These market conditions are compressing margins and reducing trading volume, the company said. It said that it was looking to cut costs to mitigate the impact on its profitability, but added that it anticipates the majority of any revenue impact will flow through to the bottom line, which means it's going to be all profit that is lost here. Basically, penny for penny, every bit of revenue they lose is coming right out of profits. It's going to kill this company's profitability. The value of the Naira has plunged over 90% since mid-June to hit a record low of 884 against the U.S. dollar on Monday as Nigeria grapples with a shortage of dollars, Reuters reported. There's that dollar milkshake theory playing out, Brent Johnson. Individuals and businesses in the country have tried to source dollars on the black market, driving down the value of the Naira, the outlet said. So on the surface, it looks like it's the collapse of the Naira that's really driving this decline in European fintech. That was the story yesterday. Now we got this story this morning, another day, another stock price collapse for European fintech. This is in the Wall Street Journal. Worldline, one of Europe's largest providers of the technology behind point-of-sale terminals, warned economic slowdowns in Germany and other core markets were hitting sales and profitability. So they're not just talking about the Naira here. They're saying, no, it's a slowdown in Germany. Okay, kind of a different story here. But Worldline also said it had stopped working with some merchants, pointing to a rise in cybercrime, new patterns of fraud, and a tougher regulatory environment. Riskier clients have often been a lucrative source of businesses for payment companies. You see, now we're starting to sound an awful lot like that. Oh, what was that? Wirecard fraud, aren't we? Riskier payments, high-risk payment solutions, cybercrime, fraud, tougher regulatory environment. What do you think might be a tougher regulatory environment? Something that happened recently that might make regulators a little more weary of the dealings of financial companies. Do you think this might have something to do with terrorism, guys? Again, I'm speculating here. I can't prove that. But the words here, they're tiptoeing around money laundering and terrorism here. They're talking about cybercrime, patterns of fraud, tougher regulatory environment, riskier clients. It's not hard to connect the dots here where they're going with this one. So now we've got CAB Payments yesterday blaming it all on the Naira. Worldline trying to say, no, it was the slowdown in Germany. Hey, but also fraud, cybercrime, regulatory environment. Take a look at what some of these companies are doing. This is cab payments down another 10% yesterday. But look at this. This was on Monday. The stock was trading at $218. Right now, trading at $54.66. This thing got absolutely crushed in an instant in early trading this week. Now look at Worldline, down 58.29%. That's just right now. I mean, who knows what this thing is going to be down. Again, go back 5 days. This thing was trading at $23.16 a few days ago, as high as $24, currently trading at $9.64. Worldline just getting absolutely crushed here. But it's not just these two numbers. We've also got other European. Let's go back to this Wall Street Journal article. They're talking about other fintech firms here, like Nexi is down substantially this morning also. And Adyen, they're also down substantially this morning, down big off of the news from Worldline and Cab. Now, they're not down as much, but Adyen, this is going back to May. They're down almost 60% since May. Nexi is down almost, about 35% since May. These European fintech firms are just getting absolutely killed this week. And it's spreading to the U.S. Check out this one. Affirm Holdings down 7.3% ahead of the opening bell here in the States. Now, this is a European or a U.S. listed firm. They don't specialize in the Naira. So I don't know what's going on here. Is this just a general industry-wide panic that's going on? But Affirm Holdings down 7.3% ahead of the opening bell. PayPal even getting in on it. They're down 2.6% ahead of the bell. And Block, a.k.a. Square, they're down almost 4% ahead of the opening bell. So this is not just a European fintech thing now. This is spreading here into the States. Keep an eye on crypto, guys. If regulators might be cracking down on fintech, that's a good bet that it's going to spread to crypto, although the regulators have already been cracking down on crypto, so maybe that's already been priced in. Moving on from this one, let's talk a little bit about Microsoft and Alphabet. And well, let's just get right into what Barron's is saying. Microsoft and Alphabet earnings show only this one thing matters for big tech. You can guess what that one thing is. Of course, it's artificial intelligence. The AI boom is both an opportunity and a risk for big tech. Just look at Microsoft and Alphabet's earnings. Hype over AI and the race to harness and monetize the technology dominated the narrative around tech stocks in the first half of the year. It's taken more of a backseat lately amid a range of other factors, but the first raft of mega cap tech earnings suggests that could change. Microsoft and Alphabet both beat earnings expectations when they reported late Tuesday, but the stocks moved in opposite directions. The Google parent fell sharply while Microsoft advanced. The divergence is down to performance in their cloud businesses, where IT services are provided remotely over the internet, which both tech giants have been furnishing with AI-powered tools. So they're calling it cloud, their cloud business. Microsoft did well, Google's did not. Within cloud lies the AI growth. And so the market is rewarding Microsoft today and punishing Alphabet. And let's take a look. Right now, we've got Google parent Alphabet. They are down 6% ahead of the opening bell, down $8.48, trading at $131.64. Guys, this is a $1.75 trillion company, and they're down 6%. That's going to move the market. Conversely, looking over at Microsoft, this is a $2.5 trillion company, and they're up 4.4%. So Microsoft trading at $345, up $14.55. So the two are going to kind of offset each other here this morning. The net effect on the market is probably going to be a push. I think maybe the collapse in fintech is what's dragging tech a little bit lower this morning. But we've also got this story going on at Meta. Keep an eye. Meta stock right now down only about 0.6% ahead of the opening bell, trading at 310.72. But this story you need to watch, and they should address this at least preliminarily in their earnings call today. Meta sued by 42 attorneys general, alleging Facebook and Instagram features are addictive and target kids. So they're getting the Marlboro treatment over at Meta right now. A bipartisan group of 42 attorneys general is suing Meta, alleging features on Facebook and Instagram are addictive and aimed at kids and teens. The lawsuits demonstrate the broad bipartisan interest in protecting kids and teens from online harm. This isn't just Republicans. This isn't just Democrats, guys. They're all getting in on the action here. Meta designed its Facebook and Instagram products to keep young users on them for longer and repeatedly coming back, the attorney general allege. Now, I just want to read down here, while Meta has publicly denied and downplayed these harmful effects, it cannot credibly plead ignorance. This is according to New York Attorney General Letitia James' office. Meta's own internal research documents show its awareness that its products harm young users. Indeed, internal studies that Meta commissioned and kept private until they were leaked by a whistleblower and publicly reported reveal that Meta has known for years about these serious harms associated with young users' time spent on its platforms. So Meta knew what they were doing to kids. They knew they were harming them psychologically. Their own research supports it. They buried that research, and the only reason we know about it is because of a whistleblower case. Keep an eye on this one. This will certainly move the needle for Meta one way or another. And I just want to say thank you very much this morning to Heather Y. Heather sent a super sticker. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate that very much. Appreciate the support of the channel. And also, thank you very much to my Patreon supporters for everything you guys do for the channel. I appreciate that very much. Link down below should you feel so inclined. We've got our weekly get-together on Zoom at Patreon is at noon Eastern time today. So looking forward to having lunch with the Melonheads over on Patreon. Again, link down below should you feel so inclined. Again, guys, keep an eye on that story out of Acapulco in Mexico. I hope everybody is safe down there, but it looks like it's going to be a real mess when the smoke clears from that storm. All right, guys, keep an eye on all these stories for you. I just want to say hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I love you guys. And until next time, live small and dream big.